YouTube, what's up? Back again for another daily fishing video here on Andrew Upshaw Fishing. The Bassmasters Classic kicks off this week in Texas. Those guys are already out there practicing, and I'm telling you one thing, guys, there's not a more stressful and rewarding event than the Bassmasters Classic. And I'm going to bring you some really cool coverage of the Classic this week when I get down there. But hey, today's video, though, is going to be centered around deep cranking and a few of my favorite colors and how I go about the process of deciding what colors I throw when I'm throwing a deep diving crankbait. I actually, in comparison to soft plastics, I don't think color really matters too terribly much. But when it comes to deep cranking, I absolutely think color does matter in certain situations. And today I'm going to spill the beans a little bit on how to help you catch more fish when you're out there throwing a big plug for those deep offshore bass. But hey, real fast though, if you have not yet, hit that sub button in the bottom right hand corner. I would greatly appreciate it. And comment below, what is your favorite deep diving crankbait color? It might be one of mine, so I'd love to see what it is. And hey guys, if you like the video, then like the video. Hit that thumbs up if you don't mind. I hope y'all enjoyed this video, and y'all are going to see it right after this. Alright guys, today's video is going to be centered around deep cranking and a few things that I do that may or may not be different than others. I have a little process that I go through. When I'm picking colors, it's a lot going to depend on the time of the year and what lake I'm going to and how those fish are positioned or how much pressure they are receiving. So in an earlier video, I actually did one talking about silent and rattling crankbaits and why that is a big deal. And it is extremely a huge deal, especially when you're talking about pressured fish offshore. But when I'm talking crankbaits, and I'm talking crankbait colors, I typically keep about, I don't know, like 6 or 8 different colors on. I love colors when it comes to deep diving crankbaits. Actually, this was the #1 deep diving crankbait for me when I first started out. It's a Norma DD22. It's a color you can't even really get anymore. But this is what I used to throw on Toledo Bend literally all the time. The reason we threw the DD22, as you can tell, it had a big bill. But that white and blue, for some reason, always caught really, really big fish. And probably still will to this day. I just hadn't fished it very much lately. But when it comes to typical deep diving crankbaits, I have a handful of things, like I said, that I do that I don't know if they're secrets. I don't know if they're what everybody else does. But it's just what I do to make me successful. So when it comes to colors, like I said, I have about 6 or 8 different ones that I throw. And I'm pulling them out here because I'm looking through my box. This is an old school box that I have. And I'm literally looking at 6 colors. So the #1 color that I throw day in and day out when I go to a body of water, like a Toledo Bend, Kentucky Lake, Gunnersville, Chickamauga, I don't care where it is just my favorite color, and that's Citrus Shad. Citrus Shad has that blue top, real similar to my old school color that I threw for years. So it has that baby blue type top, has a little bit of chartreuse on the side and a chartreuse belly. I don't know if you can really see that, but it does have a chartreuse belly there. It's light. It's a really light chartreuse belly, but I really love Citrus Shad. I can tell this one's a silent one. It's a big deal to me. I love a silent crankbait. That if you watch that other video, you know how much I really adore silent crankbaits. I think they get you more bites, especially offshore. But in certain situations, especially if the fish aren't pressured, that rattling crankbait is going to do just fine. So that's my #1 go-to. My second go-to is the Flashy Bomber 7, BD7. This is a BD8 here. But one thing that I do on all my deep diving crankbaits is I change the hooks. I don't care who makes the crankbait. I don't care what color it is, what size it is. I always change the hooks. And I don't know if it matters, but this is how I've always done it. I always put a red #2 on the front. I just kind of been always a thing that I've done. I think that it'll help you get more bites. I feel like the fish eat it more front ways if I have that red hook, and it's more of a mental thing. I don't think it, like I said, I don't know if it really matters that much, but mentally it helps me a lot. So I like the 2 colors of Citrus Shad. And as we go through these colors, you're going to be like, oh, okay, like, he throws some traditional colors, but he throws a little bit of oddball stuff too. So, like, here's more of a traditional color. This is Sexy Blueback Herring. This is one that it's a more subtle color. It's not going to be as bright as like a sexy shad or something like that. But that sexy blueback herring gets you a lot of bites. It's a little bit different, has more of a silver side to it. And some of the old school crankbaits that I used to throw all the time, that was one of my favorite colors, was more of a silver instead of a white. I think that it kind of blends a little better, and I think fish eat it just a tiny, tiny bit better. Another color that is always tied on is some form of chartreuse. Chartreuse in blue, chartreuse in black. This one here, this one is a custom color with striking, and it's a newer color, but it definitely catches them, especially if they're eating bluegill, or if you're on a muddier body of water. Rayburn, this is a just gosh darn killer right here. I mean, they eat the crap out of that thing. It's one that I always have in my boat like literally all the time. You know, and then you got green gizzard shad. This is green gizzard. This is probably number 2 in comparison to citrus shad for me. Green gizzard, I can literally go throw it everywhere in the country. I like a transparent crankbait. I think when fish get pressured, when they're getting a lot of pressure from boats, electronics, other crankbaits, that more transparent bait will get you a lot more bites. But once again, with the transparent bait, I want a zero rattle. I think that makes a huge difference on that transparent bait. It sneaks up on them. It's extremely natural, and those fish tend to eat it better. Here's another one that I used to throw all the time. This is that Lucky Craft flat CBD20. My first 10-pounder ever caught in my life was caught on this bait right here. It's just a really, really good crankbait. And then last but absolutely not least, you can't leave the house without sexy shad, just traditional sexy shad. So it's all based off of, for me, when I'm choosing colors, it's based off, like I said, lake, the watercolor, how much pressure they're getting, and how far they are along in their process. If they just gotten offshore, like we're the first week of June, so a lot of places, they're just now really getting out there good, or starting to get out there good. They'll eat sexy shad better, or citrus shad better than some other colors. As the summer progresses, as it gets hotter, as those fish get more pressure, that's when you're going to have to start throwing more of your ghost patterns, like your green gizzards, like that ghost minnow, and things like that. You got to make it more natural. When those fish get pressure, you got to make it more natural. But as the season starts out, you can go with these really bright, extremely bright colors, and that's how you're going to get more bites. So, and I'm talking summertime here. So when you get in the wintertime, and maybe there's more people out there, you know, up shallow, fishing lipless crankbaits, chatterbaits, things like that, you can go to your bigger baits, like your 8XD here, and throw it in chartreuse blueback, something like that, sexy shad, and it's going to make a lot of noise, and it doesn't really matter. I mean, because the fish aren't pressured. If they're there, they're probably going to eat it. But on those offshore fish in the summertime, when they start getting pressure, you have to start changing colors. When I'm fishing, I'll give you a really good example. When I'm fishing an offshore tournament, and when I'm saying offshore tournament, where predominantly the field is fishing ledges offshore, just like when I'm fishing lipless crankbaits up shallow, I'll have 4 to 5 different rods rigged with either different size crankbaits. Well, actually, every time it has a different size crankbait and a different color. I want to be able to pick up a rod for a given condition. If it's cloudy outside, I want to be able to pick up a brighter color. If it's sunny and no wind, I want to be able to pick up a ghost type color like that green gizzard shad, something like that. So you have to really base your bait selection colors off of the conditions too. So like when I'm throwing a lipless crankbait up shallow, I literally will have like 5 or 6 different ones rigged for the day, and I'll just pick them up throughout the day and just try different stuff the entire time, and that's what's going to make you a better crankbait fisherman. You know, it's funny. I had a guy get on my stream the other night, and he was actually talking about he wanted to be a better football jig fisherman, and the biggest advice I can give you in the reference of trying to be better with a bait. So in situations like this, to be a better deep diving crankbait fisherman, what I did when I started out, I literally took a box of deep diving crankbaits like I have here. I took 2 rods with me, And all I did was throw a deep diving crankbait for weeks. That's it. I didn't pick up another bait. I didn't throw a different bait. I didn't even put a different bait in my boat. I literally put deep diving crankbaits in my boat, a couple deep diving crankbait rods, and I tried to learn every single thing I could about deep diving crankbaits. And I implore you to do the exact same thing. If you want to learn a technique, I don't care if it's deep cranking, throwing a football jig, trying to gain confidence in something. If you want to be the best at something, you got to practice that particular thing. And in this situation, that's what I did with deep diving crankbaits. It gave me a lot of confidence. That way, whenever I get in a situation where I might need one, I can pick it up, no questions asked. I can throw it out there and catch a fish because I know I'm doing the right thing. So guys, I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Like I said, comment below your favorite deep diving crankbait color. I'd love to see what it is. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you on the next one.